All right, Jesse drawing his opening 7 here. Taking a look. Yeah, Tim's deck does. We'll put normal decks to shame, unfortunately. All right, so Tim's going to start it off here with a copy of Ancient Stirrings. Pretty solid card in this deck. And that's one of the reasons right there is that it's able to find land. He finds a copy of Eldrazi Temple and puts it into his hand. Jesse also has a forest, and his turn 1 play is a Birds of Paradise. So Jesse is underway on what his plan is, which is ramping into larger spells quickly. Tim's going to go ahead and play that Eldrazi Temple, but nothing to follow it up. So likely looking at a turn 3 play. Potentially a Thought-Knot Seer is the ideal one, but we'll see. Jesse plays a copy of Overgrowth. So enchant land, and when the enchanted land is tapped for mana, they get to add an extra green to their mana pool. So that forest now taps for 3. We're gonna Thought-Knot Seer Jesse. We're gonna see Windswept Heath, Craterhoof Behemoth, Garruk Wildspeaker, Eternal Witness, and Oath of Nissa. So if I'm Tim, I'm likely taking this Garruk. The Eternal Witness doesn't do anything right now. The Hoof is still a ways away from being relevant. The Oath of Nissa is okay, but it's not better than the Garruk. So I feel like Garruk is just the choice here. I'm sure Tim would rather that Oath of Nissa be another do-nothing kind of card. But yeah, he has to take Garruk here. He does now have a 4/4, which is pretty good though. So, but you can't let your mono green opponent have access to that much mana with a Garruk. So here comes Oath of Nissa. Yep. So we're gonna look at the top 3, pick a Planeswalker, land, or creature, and put it into our hand. We're gonna choose an Eternal Witness. Again, a great card, but right now, nothing in Jesse's graveyard. Now, he does have a Windswept Heath he can sacrifice, so he might just play a Witness here to get back his Heath. It is important for Jesse to have permanents in play, as he does have copies of Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx in his deck. So he does want his devotion count to be significant. So sometimes just playing Witness to get back a land is a fine play. Jesse fetches and falls to 19. He is going to play Witness. He is going to get back a Windswept Heath, and he's going to follow it up with a copy of Voyaging Satyr. So Jesse has a lot of mana. I'm actually curious. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He get attacked for like. He can attack for 19 next turn. The Hoof in hand is actually a concern now. Jesse was able to play quite a few creatures. All right, 4 mana. Is this another? If this is another Thought-Knot Seer, I like Tim's position for sure. Take away his only real threat, which is that Hoof. I think Tim realizes that the Hoof is now a concern. He's going to attack here for 4. Jesse has no blocks. He falls to 15. Tim is taking 1, it looks like, for his Brushland. He's going to play a copy of Thalia, Heretic Cathar. So this is okay against the Hoof line. Yeah, Jesse's non-basic lands and creatures will now enter the battlefield tapped. So that Windswept Heath in his hand is unfortunate because it is going to be tapped. It also slows the Hoof down. This could be enough to get Tim out of trouble. The Thalia is a 1-of in his main deck. I believe he added it just today. Jesse does go ahead and put into play that Windswept Heath. It is tapped. Yeah, he added it today, Ace, and yeah, Tim is not one to shy away from spicy 1-ofs. So 6, 7, he's just going to cast a Hoof still. So all this stuff gets +4/+4, so this is an attack for 10. Tim, I don't believe, has any blocks here. He just goes to 9. Yeah, he does. All right, passes the turn back. So shields are down for Jesse here. Tim has free reign on his attack. Only 7 damage. Now, I believe there is a copy of Reality Smasher in his hand. So that does mean he has 12 if he wants. The hoof is no longer as scary as it was. That's a really good one too. I don't know if I really would have gone for the hoof there, but I guess I might have to. But Drowner of Hope comes down for Tim. This is a really good one here. This will slow down just his aggressiveness quite a bit. Here comes an attack for 7. Jesse, nothing to do but take that damage. Falls to 8. And I really like Tim's position now. He's in a great spot here. Jesse is going to go ahead on his upkeep and sacrifice that Windswept Teeth that is now untapped. I imagine he gets a basic land here as opposed to one of his shock lands. Tries to sneak in Nicol Bolas off the fetch land. That's not going to work, Jesse. Cottrell, if you don't have an actual token, you can just use a die or anything you can use anything you want as long as it's clear to both players what that token is. So a die, a piece of paper, a face down card from outside of the game, whatever you want, as long as both people know what it is. And there's no confusion about it. All right, so Jesse thinking here, trying to figure out what he can do to survive this Eldrazi onslaught. So Tim is, of course, able to tap down that Craterhoof Behemoth. And that's the only real threat Jesse has right now. If I'm not mistaken, he only plays 1. He does. He has no way to return it to his hand from play. He does, of course. Dragonlord of Targa's in his deck today. That's interesting. Eternal Witness is the play from Jesse. He again gets back Windswept Teeth and just puts it into play tapped. All right, what do we got here? All right, so we have an attack here. No attack here. It looks like, yeah, just. Tim may be deciding if he wants to tap Jesse's creatures here. Yep, he's going to go ahead and tap down the Eternal Witness and the Craterhoof Behemoth. So just a Voyaging Satyr and a Birds of Paradise on the defense here for Jesse. Staring down 12 power of attackers, and I'm fairly certain a Smasher is soon to be added to that count. And I think, is that lethal? I feel like it is. He blocks the 2. Yeah, this is just lethal. Yeah, Tim says I have Reality Smasher. There is the Smasher there. Trample and haste. Whenever it becomes targeted by a spell an opponent controls, counter it unless the control of the spell discards a card. Jesse doing the math here. He's got 3 toughness total. He blocks the 2 biggest and still takes 8 and dies. Yeah. So Tim does take game 1. That Thalia saved him. I mean, he wasn't dead. Right? If the hoof can attack there, it attacks for their 9. Actually, that would have been lethal. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, Tim had a blocker, but it would have been a much different game if he had not cast that Thalia when he did. All right, so looking into sideboards here. We'll start with Jesse. He's down a game, so it's important to him to win this one. Jesse's sideboard, we have a Pithing Needle, a Spellskite, a Scavenging Ooze, 2 copies of Sudden Shock, 3 copies of Sudden Shock, 3 copies of Ancient Grudge, 1 Dismember, 1 Kitchen Finks, 2 Crumble to Dust, and 2 Thragtusk. So, sideboard-wise here, I like bringing in Thragtusks. I like bringing in Dismember. Crumble's a possibility. It can get the Eldrazi temples. I don't know how important that really is going to be to Jesse, though. He doesn't have a whole lot for this. Tim, on the other hand, let's see what he has. Tim has 1 copy of Hallowed Moonlight, 2 copies of Blessed Alliance, 3 Stony Silence, a Natural State, a Thrag Tusk, a Relic of Progenitus, an Engineer Explosives, a World Breaker, and 4 copies of Stubborn Denial. The full 4 on the sideboard here. Tim, what do I like from your sideboard here? I like Relic of Progenitus. I like the Explosives. I like World Breaker, maybe. It can get rid of a Nykthos, which is pretty important. Stubborn Denial doesn't seem bad. It's pretty likely he's going to have a creature with power 4 or greater, so he can just counter a Primal Command or counter a Genesis Wave for a single blue. It's not bad. That's about it. I don't... Blessed Alliance doesn't do enough here. Yeah, so in all honesty, the sideboards here, I don't think are going to play a giant role. There's a couple cards that might matter, but nothing too insane. Yeah, all right. Interesting. Okay. Jesse will have the play here, which is pretty important. He does get to start his acceleration on turn 1, which is where he needs to begin. Turn 2 Garruk is possible in this deck. All right, so looking at opening 7 here. What does Jesse have? Do we have something exciting here? We have a turn 1 Arbor Elf. That is the key to a turn 2 Garruk if he has the rest of it. I don't think he does. He has a turn 2 Courser of Krufix, it looks like. Jesse's hand looks like a lot of acceleration, but I don't see a payoff. I think Tim is looking at a 1-lander, and I believe it is Yavimaya Coast. And I will say it is the beautiful foil Apocalypse Yavimaya Coast. So I do enjoy that. But yeah, Tim is thinking he's on a 1-lander with Ancient Stirrings. The rest of his hand is EE, Natural State, Drowner of Hope, Thought-Knot Seer, and I think a Smasher. Martin, I can check. Yeah, I don't see anything in my settings right now, Martin. I don't want to mess with it while we have the game going, so. All right. I mean, it's the creator. You got to look. I always look. I have to know how wrong I was. All right. Tim, down to 6 here. Did decide to mulligan, of course. Looks like he's decided to keep his 6. That's a brush on the top of his deck. He is going to keep it there. And we're underway. So we have turn 1 Arbor Elf from Jesse. Tim has Stubborn Denial in his hand. So he leads with the Avamai Coast too if he needs to hold it up for something. I don't imagine he has anything on turn 2 that's going to matter to Stubborn Denial, but... Oh, Arbor Elf beats. I like it. Tim falls to 19. Jesse does as well by fetching with that Windswept Heath. And we have a turn 2 Voyaging Satyr. So Jesse just on the acceleration plan here. Not a bad choice at all. Brushland here for Tim. He's found the painful part of his mana base. He's playing, I believe, 2 coasts and 3 Brushland. I believe this is an upkeep Path to Exile. Potentially draw step Path to Exile, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, Tim's doing it at some point where Jesse can't use the mana from it. Three mana, Courser of Krufix comes down. Tim says, yeah, that resolves. There's Courser there, the enchantment creature. 2/4, play the top card of the library revealed. If it's a land, you may play it. And whenever a land comes into play under your control, you gain a life. So Jesse gains that life back thanks to playing the Wooded Foothills. Tim here, Cavern of Souls, naming Eldrazi. I don't know what else to get. He just passes back. This hand doesn't have any action. It's a little rough. Yeah, I mean, I would have definitely kept him 7 here, to say the least. It had action, and it was a 1-lander. But you had stirrings. You have 7 looks at it even if you miss on the stirrings. That's a Hornet Queen. That one's pretty hard for Tim to get through. I guess Trample helps, but Jesse, of course, stays at 20 with the fetch land. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to Primal Command. Tim says, "No, sir. I will Stubborn Denial that." Tim will pay a life to do it, but he's okay with that. Counter target non-creature spell its controller pays 1. If you have Ferocious, just counter it instead. An attack for 2 comes across, and Tim falls to 16. Yeah, see, the issue here is Tim now doesn't have another land drop, and he can't cast anything in his hand except for Stubborn Denial and Blessed Alliance. Neither of which are very exciting here. Does he have Path to Exile again? That's my guess. I guess it was, yeah. I guess what I thought was Blessed Alliance was actually Path to Exile. So, yeah, he's going to go ahead and he's going to upkeep, path away this Courser Krufix. Jesse will get another land out of his deck. All right, here's a Garruk Wildspeaker. Garruk will untap a couple lands. Will Eternal Witness back a land. Interesting. Eldrazi Temple would be a key land here. It looks like Tim found Ancient Stirrings, so we're gonna look for a land. We found one. We found Cavern of Souls. We found Forest. We found Windswept Teeth, and we found Temple. That's the last one's very important there. The Temple will allow him to. I think there's a Thought Knot in Tim's hand. Yeah, I think he might be going for it here. Let's see. If he has Thought Knot, he's going to play it here. Yeah, he's got Thought Knot. Tim did go to 14 from that brush land being used. Yeah, we see Genesis Wave and we see Hornet Queen. This is a rough pick. Kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of situation. Either take the Hornet Queen and let him wave off, or you take the wave and let him have a Hornet Queen. Neither of these are very appealing. Yeah, Tim's going to take the Hornet Queen. It is exiled, importantly. Hornet Queen, it is relevant in this matchup. Yeah, there we go. Because, of course, Jesse playing multiple copies of Eternal Witness, the full 4, in fact, he can rebuy graveyard cards, and yeah, Hornet Queen should not be there. So get that all fixed up nice and easy. Jesse fetches into turn. So wave right now is for how much? 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. So wave is for 7. All right. Let's see what happens. Nykthos, Primal Command, Birds of Paradise, Overgrowth, Forest, Kessig Wolf Run, Primal Command. Not very exciting. He gets a bunch of lands, a bird, and an Overgrowth. So, I mean, okay, so Tim did dodge kind of a bullet there. He's not in the best spot, obviously. I mean, Jesse definitely has a much better board state, and that Kessig Wolf Run does lend itself to being potentially a game ender very soon. Tim is only at 14, so... And Jesse has a lot of mana. 1, 2... I'll do the math afterwards. All right, Tim untaps here. Takes the damage. Noble Hierarch. Sure. That's not the biggest deal. Now, he does have open Stubborn Denial or Stubbs. Here comes an attack for 5, going at Garrick. This is important. I mean, Jesse's going to have to block or lose Garrick, and he has no cards in hand. Yeah, so Birds of Paradise, pretty easy chump block choice there. Yeah, I'm curious if Tim is just dead here, though. We can devote for 6. Do it again, which means we have 10 mana. So 10... We use the Kessig plus 2 of that, let's say. So we have 8 floating. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is lethal. He's got more than 15 because he has like the Overgrowth land as well. Like, this is just game. He doesn't even need the Garrick activation to do it. He's just gonna put. He just needs to make this. Now, if Tim has Path to Exile, he can't cast it, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll make my Witness giant. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He used 2 of it to devote to 6, so that's that's 14. He got to Arbor Elf to untap the other ones. So that's 17. So we use 2 in the Kessig, so 50. Yeah, I think it was like plus 15. So I think that was 16 damage coming across. So yeah, Jesse does even things up here to force a game 3. So I mean, even though the Genesis Wave plan didn't really make a board presence that was too big, it did give him a very important land in Kessig Wolf run, which was more than enough to end the game there. So Tim will have the play here. If he's able to put together like a turn 2 Thought-Knots here, I think he's in a great spot. I still think I really would have kept Tim's his 7 that game. Stirrings plus the land to cast it, plus the EE in hand. He just has so much to work with. And like, if your concern is, oh, I won't find a land, again, he has 7 looks at a land. He's going to have the draw for his turn 1, the stirrings for 5 more cards, and if he misses on all 6 of those somehow, he'll draw another card on his turn 2. So I mean, I think it's very, very slim that Tim does not find his second land. His concern might have been that the rest of his hand was very expensive, so he would have had to keep finding lands. But again, I don't think that's a problem. He's playing 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23 lands. He would have found a second land, if not a third, and so on. But yeah, I would have. The 6 just didn't do anything. It was reactive, but it didn't get there. All right. Jesse looking over some sideboard options here. It looks like I think he was debating Ancient Grudge, but I think he decided against it, which I think is fine. I mean, the only thing Tim has he can hit that would begin this matchup would be the explosives, and that's only if Tim leaves it up without the ability to crack it, which I don't think is something he'd likely be doing, unless he's absolutely forced to. All right. Players just discussing things while they shuffle up here. So yeah, if Tim's able to put together a turn 2 Thought-Knots here, he's in a great spot. He just gets so far ahead with that. Take a card from your hand, whatever your turn 2 play was, it's gone now. Jesse, if he's able to dodge that and have his own fast start, it could be similar to game 2 there, but we'll see what happens. Tim going to look here at his opening 7. Jesse's doing the same, of course. Jesse going to wait until Tim decides on his. Ancient Stirrings, Plains. Oh, I think we have a turn 2 Thought-Knot. Yeah, we do. That he has Hierarch, Temple, Yavimaya Coast, Thought-Knot Seer, Plains, Ancient. He has 2 Thought-Knot Seers. Oh boy. Oh boy. Tim's in a good spot this game. Coast, take 1, play Hierarch, go. Jesse's only answer to that Hierarch would be a Dismember on turn 1. And I doubt he has that. It's only a 1 of, so. Yeah, Tim is in a good spot. Yeah, so Jesse has his acceleration of his own, but Tim's doing it better. Yep. Let's play our first Thought-Knot Seer. Let's take away... I I guess you can take Utopia Sprawl here. I mean, Abundant Growth isn't scary. It just draws Jesse a card and fixes mana colors. It doesn't actually net mana in any way. The Dragonlord Atarka is a threat, but Jesse is a ways away from Dragonlord Atarka right now. And Tim's going to have 2 Thought-Knots back-to-back, so I don't think he's worried about that. Yeah, it takes the Sprawl. Witness still has no value. It gets to get back a fetch land if he wants it to, which is totally fine. Yeah, this is just... I don't want to say game, but it's pretty close to game. He has Windswept Heath. We're going to sacrifice that. Jesse's going to fall to 19. Yeah, Vest, this is Jesse's pet deck. He's been playing it for a very, very long time. He's gone to the trouble of foiling the entire deck out, so he does enjoy the deck. That's for sure. So Jesse found another copy of Utopia Sprawl off the top of his deck, though. That's interesting. All right. So he's going to have access to 4 mana here if he likes. But his hand doesn't do anything. So we're going to use one of the 2 floating to cast Abundant Growth. We're going to untap Utopia Sprawl land. And then we're going to go ahead and play a copy of Voyaging Satyr. So Abundant Growth lets you draw a card and then tap that land for any color you want. Again, it's not the biggest. It's a devotion counter, and it draws a card, but it's not super exciting. So Tim's going to fall down to 18 here with this Windswept Heath. I imagine we're going to see another Thought-Knot Seer come down. Just seems like a good play. I mean, to be fair, Jesse is able to cast Dragonlord Atarka next turn. So this seems like the place that you're going to play another Thought-Knot and take away that Atarka. Jesse right now in play, he has 2, 4, 6. He has 7 mana in play as it is. Yeah, Vest, the sun is pretty bright and it's shining right into our feature match area. We're going to try and get it fixed here for rounds after this. So apologize for the glare here for sure. We're gonna try and do what we can here in between rounds. Yes, it is very bright. The sun is out, but it is still freezing. Tim got a copy of Breeding Pool out of his deck. He's in Ancient Stirrings first. There's another Thought-Knot Seer if he wants it. That's pretty good. Engineer Explosives. He's got 2 lands, which are Cavern and Eldrazi Temple. Another Thought-Knot and Explosives. He's going to take Explosives, it looks like. Sure. If he wants... Yeah, he's going to go ahead and Explosives on 1. Tim is, I believe, at 16, actually, after that fetch, because he did... Yeah, he's going to Explosives on 1 and then pop it immediately, just to slow Jesse down entirely. Jesse now only has access to 3 mana, 4 with a land, of course, this turn. Jesse plays Eternal Witness. He's going to get back, I assume, Utopia Sprawl. He's going to Utopia Sprawl the Forest again and pass the turn back. So let's see. Does he have enough now for Atarka? I believe so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he has enough to Atarka again next turn. Sprawl is on red. Another attack for 4. Jesse falls to 11. Yeah, Thought-Knot Seer seems good again, though. Do you want Witness or do you want Atarka? I think I want Atarka. Witness does nothing right now, so I'm not worried about that. Really? Okay, interesting. I mean, Tim does have a copy of Path to Exile in his hand, but this is going to let Jesse draw a card. Maybe Tim just doing the math wrong here. Okay, he's going to upkeep Path away the Voyaging Satyr. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it's 4 mana now. All right, he's gonna get rid of the Voyaging Satyr here. This will avoid the Atara coming down this turn. So okay, that's fine. Jesse just passes the turn back. Nothing else to do. I will say that 2 Eternal Witnesses are basically able to block Thought-Knot Seer forever. One of them, at least. The second one makes it a little more problematic for Jesse, but... so Tim here able to attack for 8, which I think is probably where you start the turn, unless you have Smasher in hand, which he does not, it looks like. Here comes the attack for 8. Jesse says, I have no blocks. I'll go to 4. Tim, any sort of follow-up here? Is this another Thought-Knots here? No, he's going to take 1 damage here, so he's playing a colored spell. Playing a Witness. Get back Path. Yeah, he's in a good spot now. Yeah, I don't know what Jesse could draw here. Nothing looks to be the answer. Yeah, we're going to Path on your draw step, and Jesse says you got it, man. So...